For latest updates and short audio clips, follow us on Instagram, Reading the Author.
Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast Reading the Author, a unique show where we read authors' mind and not their book. Meanwhile, I truly believe and pray that you and your families are completely safe and healthy as well. Today we have Dr. Gaayathri Palla ma'am with us, the author of Boundless. Thank you so much ma'am for coming on our show. We are highly grateful कि आप हमारे शो पर आए.
Hello Gaurav, hi. I'm grateful as well for the opportunity. It's nice coming on the show.
Okay, pleasure ma'am. So ma'am, like before we get into the podcast and know much more about your books, about your future plans and all those things, I would request you to please introduce yourself so that our listeners can know much more about you.
I'm Dr. Gaayathri Palla. I'm from Karimnagar, Telangana, India. About my childhood, I studied in St. John's High School and then I went to Paramita High School, and I had a really good carefree childhood, and I remember playing a lot, reading a lot. I've read a lot. I used to wait for a lot of Chandamama magazines to come to my home, and yeah, that's how I grew up. I had a very good childhood, and then again, writing for me was a sudden discovery. It was not something I have planned, or it's not a conscious process as well. But when I was 17 or 18, I experimented with things and I tried writing various genres, and unexpectedly my first book turned out to be a poetry one.
Okay.
And then along with writing, I got into medical school. My alma mater is Mamta Medical College, Khammam. I have graduated from there, and I have given my postgraduate exam this year. So yeah, I'm awaiting the results as well.
Okay. So ma'am, in between, how did you thought to just write a book and publish it? Like, from where did that first thought struck on the head?
Actually, I kept writing. My interest caught with writing when I was really around 2021, when I was in third year of my MBBS. That's when I got into writing, and I actually realized that I can write something worth. I can write something that somebody can read. So that's when I actually discovered that I could write. So, writing for me was just a casual thing. It was something just meant for me. It was something I identified myself with at the end of the day, and it's a part of who I am. It's a ritual for me. It was cleansing, rejuvenating, and it was just part of who I am. But publishing things, suddenly once I don't know, I was just sending casually to the publishers, and Notion Press, Adav Srivatsava, I remember his name as well. So he contacted me, and he reassured me very much about the quality of my content. And actually I was not ready for publishing right now. I felt I needed time, and I wanted to add a couple of more poems into my book and all that, and then publish later. But he was very insistent, and I'm glad he was insistent. I'm glad my book came out of that.
We can clearly say that you haven't chosen writing has chosen you.
Yeah, maybe you can say that.
Okay. So ma'am, as we know that the book is released, and it's performing really well on Amazon, and most of the people must have read it as well. But there must be some sort of people, or there must be many people who haven't read it yet, and they will be just search after listening to this podcast and or whatsoever. So can you give us some insight, like what a reader can expect from that book?
What a reader can expect from my book is it's hard to explain the genre of my book, because it's mostly my journey of self-exploration that I have put in my poems. I did not plan to compile them. That's just a compilation. There is no particular theme for my poetry, but they are my experiences and my view of my life, and I just tried to convert them into beautiful, entertaining fantasies that will take you away from the world for a while, if you are willing to do that. What a reader can expect from my book is, I wish, I don't know, every person has their own view or perspectives in general, but what I I want my readers to discover themselves in a new light after reading my book. I hope some of the things, just stay with them. And I wish that their ordinary life experiences, like when you're sitting under the stars in a starry night, or when you're sitting in a beach, one or two lines of mine, or one or two imagery that I've mentioned in my poem just flashes before their eyes. And the just ordinary experiences of their life, just like that, will be enhanced in quality. And I wish for them to lose themselves in a while in that book, at least for a while, and then maybe think about something other than their work or family,
so
or
some sort of
and,
mind relaxing things.
Mind relaxing thing. And sometimes about inward journey and self-exploratory journey also, if they want to. Even they can find that also if they are a bit what to say, deep persons, and if they want to explore more, they can find that as well.
If they want to be become much more aware of themselves, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That they can get from a book.
Okay, ma'am. So, ma'am, like, it seems to be really interesting. But, ma'am, like, what my question is that many people who want to write as their debut novel, they prefer to be write in the fiction zone, or something in the romance genre, thriller, or something like that. So, in fact, whereas you have written something which is for the society, it's sort of contributing to the society, because after reading this, people's mind will be sort of relaxed, and they will just can find peace in their mind, right? So, like, what motivates so like what motivates you to write on this topic, like to do something for the society?
As I've mentioned earlier, my book isn't about a topic or a theme. It's my journey of self-exploration, and maybe there was a lot of Rabindranath Tagore's influence on me, especially with the Geetanjali one. Actually, this was pointed out to me by one of the reviewers. Then I went like, this is true. Since I have read Geetanjali so many times, it must have just flown out of my subconscious. And majorly, I'm influenced by mythical and mythological literature. I've studied some of the Greek mythology as well. Even, that is also very fascinating and captivating for me. And especially Indian Vedic literature has a very big influence of me. And my view of life has changed tremendously. And the ease in my being has improved. And I, as a person, have personally, there is a lot of growth I have noticed in myself, especially after I came into contact with Indian Vedic literature.
Okay.
That's what influenced me to write this theme or topic.
Yeah, ma'am, like, what do you think, like, Indian values are important, and how they are just shaping up our personality? Like, as you have mentioned that Indian literature have made a really strong impact on your writing and in your personality. So what do you think of that?
Oh, you have asked me a bit a big multifaceted question, so I hope you don't mind if I take my time with this.
Definitely.
Okay, thank you. So as I've already mentioned earlier, my upbringing was a bit traditional. So I used to listen to my grandmother reciting Ramayana, Mahabharata, and all these stories, they have created a lot of shall we do this again, please?
Yeah, definitely, ma'am, you can do.
Okay. So as I've already mentioned earlier, I grew up in a home with rich Indian traditional values, and I grew up listening to the Ramayana and Mahabharata, and I remember the impression that the stories created on my young, impressionable mind. The list of virtues you can acquire, and the personality you can build, and the behavior patterns you can set, they have stayed with me even for now. And even now, whenever I'm disheartened or not motivated, I think of elite characters depicted like Rama or Dharmaraja or Arjuna, and these characters, they really provide us with a good ethical and moral compass. What you actually notice is everyone has their own set of ethics, and it majorly boils down to choice. But here are people who made sacrifices and not taking into account of their own choices or what they actually want. And sometimes I think we are motivated to give more when we
Yeah.
read about these characters. And you know what, personality building is all about. It's not about handling happy phases of your life. Personality building is majorly about handling the tough phases of your life, the hardships of your life. So I think we can learn so much from these characters, especially in the aspects where you have to manage your hardships. So if I have to name a few influences from Ramayana, the sheer way Rama behaves, talks, or acts in certain situations has made me evaluate and consciously learn and set some behavior patterns. Like, for example, the equanimity of Ramachandra when he was asked to abandon the throne the day before. So he was actually being told that he's going to be a crown prince and he's going to be coronated on the dawn of the next morning. And on the very morning, he was asked to abandon the same throne of the same empire. So, equanimity and the smile, the courage with which he took it, the dignity with which he took it, you know, if that attitude doesn't bring peace, I don't know what else does. And, you know, again, talking of Rama, when he relinquished that throne for his father, he isn't a weak or incapable person, you know, just to be obedient and subservient, right?
True.
Yeah, his capability was proven beyond doubt during the Marichavada, and you know, when he broke the Shiva's bow, or when he, you know, confronted Parshurama. He was a great warrior, an incomparable warrior at that young age itself. But even then, he abandoned the throne for his father, you know, to preserve his father's identity and integrity. You know, he did it with so much dignity, so much grace, that, you know, I think all these things amount you know, to something in the end. You know, he stands to be the most compassionate warrior, a warrior with endless capacity for forgiveness and mercy. And usually I have noticed a lot of progress in terms of health, especially infections, the quality of health and lifespan, intellectual fulfillment, emotional support, happiness. You know, especially when we are in Indian culture and heritage, there is an improved quality with all of this. Having read mythology and philosophy of different nations around the world, after reading Indian philosophy, it outshines everything in terms of depths, the observations, the way they put the themes forward. You know, it's very scientific and in tune with modern psychological studies as well. You know, they have many hidden techniques that are concurrent with many of the psychological defense mechanisms that help in, you know, just reliving any remnant subconscious traumas or hurts. Actually, there was a study that was conducted by a pediatrician and obstetrician couple. Actually, they have published a book called Spirituality in Pregnancy. Especially when people are in spiritual practices, the quality of the fetus, or the quality of their pregnancy, and the quality of their health during their pregnancy has, you know, significantly improved. That's what they said during their case study thing. So yeah, I think there is a wisdom in Indian traditional way of life that's extremely underrated. There are, you know, communication and interpretation barriers that are there, and they need to be overcome. Then I think this generation gap can be bridged, and, you know, Indian culture can be brought to the forefront.
Definitely, ma'am. In fact, what I personally feel, you know, if you know, if we can just keep aside, okay, it's for Hindu mythology or something like that, then also I personally feel that, you know, everyone has to, you know, just watch it, or, you know, just read once in their life to, you know, learn lots of things, because Mahabharata, Ramayana have a lot of things to teach us in our daily life.
Yes, they do.
Okay, ma'am. So, ma'am, like, can you share, like, what appealed more to you in Indian spiritual language? Like, if you have to emphasize any one thing, then what would be that?
Okay, my major shaping influence were the Upanishads. You know, if we are talking about Indian Vedic literature, then if we are not talking about Upanishads, then I don't think we are getting into the bottom of it. So, Upanishads spoke of a very beautiful concept called Vasudhaika Kutumbakam. Yes, we all know this. You know, which means any being on this earth, belong to a single family. They didn't even refer to a particular species or a kind or anything. They did not speak about humans or flies or animals. They said Vasudhaika Kutumbakam. Anything that's under the cover of this earth, belong to a similar and single and same family. And for a broad-hearted and large-hearted person, this is how he's going to view the world. This concept has appealed to me, and it influenced me as well. This is only just a tiny drop in the huge wisdom that is spoken by Indian Upanishads. They generally speak of all inclusiveness. That's what appealed to me the most. Now in this age and time, where we are so much divided and striving for unity, India has spoken of this inclusiveness ages ago. Maybe this is not concurrent with our current, Indian scenario, but still they thought of this like ages ago. And when speaking about Upanishads, I'm yet to see an unexplored part of human life, or any life for that matter, that's not spoken of in the Indian philosophy. Every aspect is covered, like starting from environment, eco-friendly living. In Mahabharata, for example, in Shanti Parva, Bhishma will say to Dharmaraja about the importance of preserving the mountain landscape. He says, like, mountains are essential to preserve the balance of the earth. Otherwise, there is a chance of a lot of continental drift will happen, and there may be other kind of calamities that are going to happen if the mountain landscape is not properly preserved. And they spoke importance of the animals and other living beings on the planet, the role they play in the biological food chain or ecosphere in general. I think if this doesn't shape an individual to be a better person for the tomorrow, I don't know what else can, because there is not an aspect that was untouched, ethically, emotionally, psychologically, physically, everything is covered.
Okay. So ma'am, can we expect more such books from you, or you want to experiment a little bit on some other genres as well, like what's upcoming next?
No, I don't think I'm going to write poetry as of now. If I'm writing poetry, it might not be in English, it might be in Urdu or any other language. But for now, I think I'm trying to do some research on Indian mythology, and I want to bring out some points like common misconceptions, or we have a lot of misunderstandings and interpretation gaps, which I would like to bridge to my ability. I'm seeing what I can do. I don't have a specific project in mind, but yeah. Yeah, that's my plan.
Ma'am, when it comes to personal branding, many authors, you just focus on that. Okay, if anyone sees it's a book by Gaayathri ma'am, then that a sort of impact want to create on their mind. कि अच्छा ठीक है, अगर इस author की book है तो ये इसमें इन्होंने ऐसा लिखा होगा, right? So how do you see yourself as a brand? Like, what impact you want to create on readers' mind? Like the first thought they have in their mind when they grab your book.
Okay, the first thought is I would like for the readers to have is authentic information and authentic thing about Indian living, anything related to Indian culture, heritage and art. When they grab my book, I want to see, whatever she says can be believed. I want to see whatever she's talking about Indian culture, heritage and mythology has a substance to it. Whatever she's speaking is really authentic. I want to be really authentic about what I'm talking about Indian culture and heritage, because I have such respect for it. So I think I'll be able to deliver it as well.
So ma'am, my next question to you is do you have any next 5 years plans, where do you see yourself, or any rough idea or something like that?
Yeah, in my next 5 years, I think by God's grace or whatever, I'm going to pursue my post-graduation, and after that I want to learn my mother tongue, that is Telugu. I want to go deeper into Telugu literature. I want to read a lot of Telugu literature for a while, and I have a project, 1 or 2 projects in my mind, so we'll see where it goes. This is my rough plan for the future.
Okay. So ma'am, like my next question to you of this podcast is like, as we feel, or as many people feel, after the first lockdown, the numbers of authors are getting increased day by day. Like we can see, like, okay, around hundreds of books are being published every week, we can say.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the reasons can be many, like people are more interested in writing, and the publishing has become very much easy, like self-publishing, Kindle publishing, everything like
Yeah.
that. So what
Yeah.
sort of competition do you feel in this field, like a sort of neck to neck competition, or you're someone who believes that in creativity there's no competition, everyone is running in their own race? So what's your take on this?
It is becoming a little bit tough, honestly, to make a space of our own. But I think, as you have said, creativity, for every person, their experience and perceptions are different. The the influences they grow up with are different, and the content they bring out is different. At the end of the day, it's very important to be original and unique with the content you're creating, and at the same time it must be relatable as well.
True.
When it's being relatable, it should not be plagiaristic. It should not be you're stealing someone's work and publishing it as your own. That is the most important thing, especially with growing trends of increased number of book publishing. This is the trend we should actually be afraid of. And I honestly advise the young readers young writers not to get into this habit of plagiarism. You have to be very, very original and wait until that originality or that idea develops. You need to be very much conscious about this thing. Don't be in a hurry to publish. Just refine your content until you're satisfied with what you deliver, and then publish.
So I'm like, as you have mentioned earlier, that you are writing from very young age, and you have writing something which gives you peace and gives you what we can say, the satisfaction at the end of the day. So do you have any particular writing schedule? Like do you devote any particular hours to the writing? Like okay, मुझे daily 1 घंटे 2 घंटे writing करनी है, या it's natural कि कभी thought आया तो phone में note कर लिया, डायरी में note कर लिया, बाद में चल के उसको लिखने? Like how does it goes with you?
Yeah, for me, I don't really have a schedule of writing because I don't know, I'm just spontaneous like that. I just write whenever I feel like it. I don't feel bound to a particular space or time, or I can write anywhere. Especially but I have a little bit of inertia, writing inertia. When I get the idea, for that idea to go from my head into the paper will take a bit of time, which I'm trying to improve and work on. But other than that, if I get into the flow, I'm a very quick writer.
Okay.
Schedule as such, I don't have any, but maybe I should try fitting myself into it.
Okay. And ma'am, like, do you prefer it as a hobby, or in future you want to just shift and change it to as a full-time job?
No, I don't think I'll do full-time writing, but yeah, I'll do mainstream writing. For now, I think I will do mainstream writing, but maybe not full-time, because I love being a doctor as well.
Yeah. Okay.
I want to devote quality time to it, but not complete.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, we can just sum up it as you want to be a doctor and you want to be a writer as well.
Yeah, I want to be both.
Okay. So I'm like, we have talked about your journey, about your future plans, about your books, about your vision, everything. Now coming to your personal life, can you share with us like what was the most happiest moment of your life as of now? Like there must be many, but if you can just share a single one with us.
Happiest moment of my... Actually, Gaurav, your question was muted for a bit.
Okay. So ma'am, what I was saying, we have talked about your journey, about your books, about your vision and all those things. Now coming to your personal life, can you share like what was the most happiest moment of your life? Because what I personally feel, there must be many, but if you can just point out any one of them for us, then that would be really grateful.
I don't know, I think maybe I'm not just saying this just because this is my author or a book podcast, but yeah, when my book published, that was I felt very happy and accomplished that day, because I was personally going through a very rough patch. in terms of my let's just say, be it in terms of my career or just where I am, I was not in a very good and confident state of mind when my book just got published. So I think after my book got published, especially after my first review came out, that's what has given me a great sense of accomplishment and happiness. And especially every book review, I think, is making me happier as I go. But yeah, when my first book review came out, I was very, very happy. That's especially that review has captured the essence of my book. It captured it very beautifully. So I felt that was the day, my work is not that much unrelatable. It is having good content and people are getting influenced by it. That was when I actually felt very happy.
So do reviews affect you, like bad reviews, or bad, not we can say, just the reviews which are not up to the mark, or people if haven't they liked your book? Is there any sort of review?
Up to now, I don't think there has been a bad review as such, but I don't think it should affect me, as it might. Up to now there weren't any bad reviews. Every reviewer has captured what I intended. So bad reviews, I don't know. One or two reviewers have caught some mistakes in my books and they pointed it out to me, and they pointed it out in the review as well. But I took them in a positive note, and I promised the reviewer and I promised them that I would get it corrected later and all. And I actually take care to contact the reviewer and ask them. Some might just be polite and they might not put everything they're actually feeling. So I actually I love contacting them as readers. It's not about the review, but it's about how my book has impacted them personally. That's what actually matters to me. Some have said that some parts of my book are not very comprehensible, but yeah, as a writer, you shouldn't feel guilty about writing things people cannot understand. So it's okay to write whatever you feel, and you can create whatever you want. Not every poem should have a meaning, or it should have something, or it should be comprehensible. It can be put out there just as a mask for your own emotions and your own experiences. You can just put it out like that also. Especially this Boundless book is of a very different genre. It has a lot of me in it. So maybe I've tried to hide and layer a lot of my emotions. So some of it may be incomprehensible. Because I already anticipated it, I'm okay with it as such.
And do you feel stressed while releasing of a book? If you're working on something and now finally it's coming, something in front of the world. So what was going in your mind? Do you feel stressed, relaxed, nervous, excited? What was your mental state that time?
I was actually a little bit excited only, but I don't feel stressed, honestly, because I put in good amounts of efforts and I take advice and input from people. I make the necessary changes. For me, a third opinion from a language expert is of highest priority. I make sure to edit the book many times before I publish, and sometimes as authors, we tend to get blindsided about things. So if the preparation is good, I feel confident about the book, and at the end, I don't worry about it reaching the audience. Maybe I should worry more, but I don't. But see, I'm not too focused on sales or the income or the results. I'm just worried about the impact it's creating on the readers. That's what I'm even if 5 or 6 readers read it, and if they're very much glad that they picked my book, I think I'm okay with it.
So basically you want to focus on the something which create a sort of what we can say, a sort of true readers, because you don't want to appeal the masses. You want to appeal the, what we can say, that classes. Okay, theek hai, maine agar ye book padhi, then I'm gonna like it, and that's why I have chosen this, right?
Yes, I don't want to appeal to the mass. Not now, not with this book. This book is not designed for that also. Maybe I'll design a few books later for the masses, but this is not that kind.
Okay. So my last question to you of this podcast is like, what are your advices for the upcoming authors? Like, there must be many people who will start writing after this, after listening to this podcast, or they will be holding their draft in their laptop, in their sheets. So what's your single piece of advice for them?
Okay, recently I've seen a lot of books, while people are asking me to review them, what I've noticed currently is they're not refining their content well. First thing, they should focus on the natural flow of the language rather than using forced vocabulary. I mean, they're just fitting in words that are not apt with the situation, or not apt with the sentence, or not fitting in, they're not actually delivering what they want to say. So a lot of groundwork on language is important for this, because it can be very off-putting for, really a light audience to read a good a book with, without proper grammatical or spelling editing, that actually is sloppiness of the author, that's not being encouraged by publishers or even by the authors. They should be very meticulous, and they should take good care about these grammatical and typing errors. One or two will anyway seep in, but you should always be looking, and you should even ask the reviewers to find any faults that you have not seen and try to rectify it in the next publishing. This is the first point I want to say. And it's very important, as I've already told, to be very original and unique with your idea, and don't give any space for plagiarism at all. If you find that you have read it somewhere, seen it somewhere, try to put it in a different way, different light. But don't exactly copy the same thing.
You can be inspired, but you can't just copy that.
Yeah. You can definitely be inspired, but try to put it in a very, very different way. Try to redefine your idea, try to make it better. And firstly, it's important not to be in a hurried or stressed or anxious state of mind, because poetry is art, or poetry or writing anything is very creative, and the less stressed you are, the more creative you can be. So I think you should be less stressed. Don't be in a hurry. Take time, let the ideas come. Don't worry about people itne din, how many more. Just don't let all this hurry your ideas up.
Okay.
So don't be in a hurry to publish. Try seeking inspiration from various things. Writing itself is a beautiful sojourn. It's a beautiful journey. It enhances the quality and expression of your life. So focus on the journey instead of focusing on number of sales, like bestseller lists and the best reviews possible and other stuff. So if your subject and content and your idea is very much different and out there, if the quality of your life is enhanced in general, if the quality of your emotion is rich, then it will naturally flow into the book. There is no need to force anything out when you're writing. If it's not working out, just leave it. So these 2 or 3 are the advices I would like to give the authors. If your content and subject, and if the quality of your book and language is good, the rest will follow. Everything else will follow.
Okay, so that's all for today, guys. I hope you must have enjoyed this episode, and if you do, then do follow our podcast, Reading the Author, available on all the leading podcast platforms. And don't forget to buy and read the book. आप जस्ट Amazon पे जाएं, वहाँ पे सर्च करें बाउंडलेस, या फिर आप मैम का नाम भी सर्च कर सकते हैं, डॉक्टर गायत्री पल्ला। मैम की बुक आ जाएगी, जरूर खरीदें, पढ़ें और अपने जानने वालों के साथ, चाहने वालों के साथ जरूर शेयर करें। थैंक यू सो मच मैम फॉर कमिंग ऑन आवर शो। वी आर हाईली ग्रेटफुल कि आप हमारे शो पर आए।
Thank you, Gaurav. It was a beautiful podcast. It was very refreshing for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much.